What's up, everyone? We're here for post-game Locked On Bucks. We are seconds after the buzzer as Milwaukee go down to the Sixers 123-120, and it was not a pretty final 3 minutes for the Bucks. They had multiple chances to either take the lead, put this game away, however you want to describe it, and basically anything that could have gone wrong did go wrong in the final few minutes. We had a great matchup between Giannis and Embiid from individual standpoints. There is plenty to talk to, so let's get started.
You are Locked On Bucks, your daily Milwaukee Bucks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Bucks. I'm your host, Kane Pittman. You can see and hear me on this show Monday to Friday, and also find my work over at ESPN. Joining me, the founder of brewhoop.com and longtime voice of the podcast, Frank Madden. We thank you for making Locked On Bucks your first listen of every weekday. Also on the weekend for you slackers that get to the weekend and want to catch up on all the episodes you missed out. We still appreciate you guys too. As I mentioned, this was a tough one, Frank. A tough final quarter. The Bucks lose 123-120. It's just another game that we'll sit back and say, geez, the Bucks really probably should have won or could have won, easily could have won this game, which you look big picture, obviously that matters. But the execution down the stretch in this one was really poor. And it was disappointing because you did have another big night from Giannis, 32 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists. He had a couple of big buckets in the fourth quarter, a couple of threes, and it looked like it was going to be one of those nights where Giannis has a big fourth quarter and the Bucks win the game. They just needed a couple of other guys to make some shots down the stretch, namely Chris Middleton really struggled. But the last few minutes in this one was tough to watch if you're a Bucks fan.
Yeah, Giannis hits a pull-up three with, I think, 3:56 left to go up 116-112. And, that gave him 30 points. Came into the fourth quarter, 7 of 16 with 16 points, and scores another 16 in the fourth quarter. So the NBA's leading fourth quarter scorer was at it again. I think he was 6 of 7 in that final quarter. But, you just look at as you said, the execution down the stretch. Niang came back and hit a three right away. He did that a lot tonight. Jordan Niang, 18 points into the starting lineup tonight and was tasked with defending Giannis for much of it. And I thought for much of the night, Niang and the Sixer defense kind of did a nice job showing off bodies and congestion. And Giannis really didn't do that much damage sort of going at the basket. He actually kind of did a fair amount of work with his jump shot and kind of on little flip shots and hook shots and stuff. But yeah, as you said, I mean, just missed shots. Chris Middleton was, you want to pin this loss on one person, which, again, I don't know that's a very productive way to sort of recap basketball, but certainly Chris Middleton missing jump shots is going to be etched into a lot of folks' minds, and only fitting, the Bucks somehow ended up with the ball with a second left and a chance to tie it. And of course, Chris, is forced taking this extremely difficult shot that airballs. But he had, I think, 2-3 opportunities in the final minute to potentially tie the game on a 3-point look. None of them easy, but just missed all of them. And 6 out of 20 for him, 19 points. Interestingly, Tobias Harris scored 19 points on 20 shots as well. He was 9 out of 20, only took a free throw. Excuse me. So not a whole lot of difference actually between Harris and Middleton in terms of sort of net production and efficiency, but yeah, just he could not deliver in the clutch. He's done it many, many times before, but not tonight. And Drew Holiday, who had a very nice night, 24 points on 15 shots, and gave them, really nice, a nice shot in the arm. I thought when they fell behind at various points, sort of, especially in that third quarter, early fourth quarter. Airballs a short jump shot and had a great look at the 3-pointer in that 4-minute kind of cold spell as well that he flat out missed. So, notably Giannis didn't take a shot in those last few minutes up until, kind of just the garbage stat padding layup there in the last few seconds, which almost allowed the Bucks to get the ball back. And normally you would just say, well, you should take a 3, down 5. With no timeouts left, but Giannis gets the layup, and then off that scramble, they get the ball back on an out of bounds play, and again, nearly did have a chance to tie it, but yeah, just poor execution. Giannis, the one time he had the ball and was trying to make a play, he went middle and just threw the ball away, trying to kick it out, and then probably the most emblematic of just the terrible basketball they played down the stretch was Chris in a semi-transition, thinks Jordan Wara is in the corner and Jordan Wara is on the wing, and he throws it, 5 feet away from anybody for just a really bad turnover. So, yeah, I mean, I think, Bucks should be kicking themselves after this. But I mean, again, an MVP performance from Joel Embiid, I think that's going to be the big takeaway from this. I think back to the game later in the season, a few years ago when Giannis hung that 45-point game on the Sixers, and that big win the Bucks had late in the season. This is not nearly as late in the season, so I don't think this is not going to. That felt like a kind of coronation of Giannis's first MVP season. This is much earlier than that, so I don't think this is Embiid clinching an MVP. But certainly, again, like if you're going to try to win an MVP, if you're going to finish behind the Sixers right now, you drop to 5th because you couldn't take care of business at home. And obviously Embiid's final stat line, is super impressive, 42 on 21 shots. And certainly he came away, won the battle against Giannis, and obviously won the war in terms of the final score of the outcome too. So, again, Embiid's awesome season continues, and a rare chance for him actually getting the better of Giannis, which, as you guys pointed out, you and Camille pointed out last night, really hasn't happened, right? I think 8-2 coming into the game, Bucks against the Sixers in the Bud era. And, it's a costly loss just in terms of, again, kind of fighting for that playoff seeding, and also, fighting for the MVP narrative.
Yeah, Tim Bontemps at ESPN had his straw poll come out today, and I think Embiid was just ahead of Jokic, and then Giannis was the clear third. I think everyone assumes that that's the 3 guys at the top right now as it currently stands anyway. But if you do look at the line, I don't know how you felt about it, Frank, but I was sort of looking at the way the Bucks were defending Embiid through the night. And again, you look at the line and he got the 14 free throws, but some of those came on those sort of rip throughs, whatever. He's pretty crafty when he has the ball sort of facing up and he can draw fouls. Then obviously he got some free throws late in the game when they were in the penalty as well. So it did feel like one of those games where it's like, okay, well, look, at the end of the day, if Embiid is going to be shooting step back threes and he's going to be shooting fadeaway jump shots, the guy's just awesome right now. I mean, he's doing this to everyone. So I don't know. How did you feel about the way the Bucks actually defended him? We saw certainly early in the game they were pretty committed to sending double teams, sometimes triple teams, to try and just get the ball out of his hands. Then you did have a guy like Niang that was knocking down threes. Tyrese Maxey got loose at the end of the second quarter. Another thing that I thought was actually interesting with the way he was defended, I thought Serge Ibaka, there was a couple of times where Embiid got past him, and it's like, okay, fine. Well, he's probably going to do that to whoever's guarding him. But Ibaka seemed very, very, very conscious of the fact of keeping his hands clear, but trying to contest the shot. He just looked like a guy that's obviously gone against Embiid quite a few times in the past. And even in the pregame, I don't know if this is what he was talking to Giannis about, but on the broadcast, he was talking to Giannis a lot right before Giannis went to the opening tip. And I was wondering whether it was some Embiid related stuff. But what did you see defensively all up with the Bucks guarding Embiid? Because I don't think it was terrible. I honestly don't.
Yeah, I mean, big difference first quarter versus third quarter. They come out starting Matisse Thybulle and your favorite Australian national team player.
It's not a joke, by the way, to the people out there. I love Matisse Thybulle. It's a fact.
And they clearly, I mean, he's really been struggling from 3 lately. Obviously, not a great 3-point shooter, over his career. And they clearly decided, like, hey, if we're gonna leave somebody open, it's gonna be Matisse Thybulle. And we saw them not fearful at all about leaving him wide open. He only took 1 shot, missed a 3, and looked kind of hesitant, even missing that open 3. And so really, like, the Bucks kind of had a free opportunity to double him. I thought Embiid was super patient for the most part. I thought he was, not really forcing anything. Ultimately, though, did have 6 turnovers. So I think, sending those extra guys, he had 5 assists, but he had 6 turnovers. So I think you can feel like, okay, you at least put him in some uncomfortable spots. As you said, he's really crafty. He's going to draw fouls. I thought the Drew Holiday foul with, like, what was it, 37 seconds left or something, where he just 6 seconds left, Embiid was like 30 feet from the basket, and he kind of like blitzed him and fouled him. I thought that was like a really bad foul.
Yeah, can I just jump in? That specific situation, there was about 3 seconds differential with the shot clock, and I know that it's like really tough because if they get a shot up, maybe there's a scramble, maybe you never get the ball back. What do you do there? The Bucks did have a timeout. I mean, I thought it was a bad foul to give at that point, as you sort of just alluded to. But are you trying to foul there? Are you seeing it?
Okay, so the Sixers had the ball with 26 seconds left. They got the ball back, and that's where the Bucks tried to trap in the backcourt, and then they eventually fouled. I was referring to the foul like with 37, 38 seconds left,
Okay.
where they obviously did not have to foul. But anyway, yeah, I mean, that was an awkward spot as well. And I think, to be honest, I felt like maybe I mean, in hindsight, right, because they didn't get a steal, of course, it felt like they let too much time run off the clock. I think like 13 seconds ran off or something like that. So given the only one timeout left, you had limited ability to extend the game at that point. So, but yeah, I mean, I think early on you could double Joel and not really worry about it as much because you had Thibault to cheat off of. But I thought Doc Rivers really smartly said, all right, we're going to put Korkmaz in to start the third quarter. And I think either him and Niang, I don't know if it was him and Niang each hit a three, but really quick, 2 threes to start the third quarter. And Bucks kind of dug themselves a hole and trailed by as many as 15 early in that third quarter. And it just felt very lifeless, it just, ever since they went up, 12 points late in the second quarter. And then, just could not get the requisite energy to really kind of get back in the game. And then finally, sort of over the course of that third quarter, they kind of started to claw back into it. And then with Embiid on the bench to start the fourth, they finally were able to turn the screws a little bit.
All right, let's talk about some of the other aspects of this game, including Jordan Wara, who got some buckets and did some other things as well. But we'll talk about BetOnline first. Football might be over for this season, but basketball is in full steam for both pro and college hoops. So you can check out all the latest odds, totals, player performance props to where the next fired coach is going to land. BetOnline.net is the number one spot for all your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for the scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds, right to the Olympic coverage and information. I think they're done. I think the Winter Olympics are done. I don't know. Are you a Winter Olympics man, Frank?
I am. Well, I just like to watch Americans win stuff. So I just pretty much wait until I know something good's going to happen, and then I'll watch. That I'm a total front runner when it comes to the Olympics.
USA. Do you do that in your living room, Frank? I assume every American does that.
If needed.
All right. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. After you're done with the Locked On Bucks podcast, don't forget to check out the Locked On Now podcast. I'm laughing because I'm trying to do this. Frank just sent me a chat saying he needs to go to the bathroom. Frank,
I have to go.
How long have you been doing podcasts for? Honestly,
I don't know. I've never had to do that. We started right after the game. I'm like, just bang, bang, bang.
Well, I don't want to edit this. So I tell you what, Frank, you go. I'll talk about Jordan Wara. You come back. You talk about Jordan Wara, and we'll do that. All right? Because
okay.
I'm just letting the people know I don't have time to be editing this video like that. So
this is fresh off the presses right here.
So Jordan Wara, I found interesting in this game, and I think that there's a chance that I need to say that perhaps when I was talking about Jordan Wara at the start of the season, maybe I was a little bit wrong in terms of the player that he can be or the role that he can play for this Bucks team. Now, there was a stretch in the third quarter where Jordan Wara was getting his shots up and he had a turnover. He stepped on the sideline right in front of the Sixers bench. After that, he shot a really quick trigger, off balance, corner three in front of the Sixers bench again. He missed that. And then just after that, it was a very early shot clock, mid-range, fadeaway, heavily contested from around the free throw line. And if you go back and look at it, you'll see Giannis throw his hands up and just look at Jordan Wara and say, what is going on, man? Why are you taking that shot? At the time, Wara was actually 6 of 10 from the field. He was having a pretty good offensive outing, but it just felt this was during the third quarter stretch where the Bucks were really trying to get back into the game. And those shots felt ill-advised. But I remember back to the start of the season, I've been saying that, look, if you listen to Bud talk about Jordan Wara, if you ask questions to those guys, they will say, well, look, we are coaching him up. We want him to be better on the defensive end. We want him to work on the little things that perhaps aren't at an NBA, average level for Jordan Wara, certainly on the defensive end of the ball. So, and I said, look, that makes sense to me. If the Bucks want and they think that Jordan Wara can become a more well-rounded player later in his career, then it's important for him to pick up those good habits, and it's important for him to do those things. But maybe he's just a microwave scorer. Maybe he's just a guy that comes off the bench and scores a bunch of points quickly, and you understand what you're getting with him. Maybe he's never going to be an above average or even average defender. Maybe he's not going to be able to produce little things that we look at a guy like Dante DiVincenzo, for instance, who provided aspects around the court on both ends of the floor outside of just scoring, which can be streaky. Maybe Wara is just going to be one of these guys that's your seventh or eighth man off the bench. I'm not saying he'll get to this level, but if you think about guys like Jordan Clarkson, Terrence Ross, these scorers that come off the bench that don't really do anything else in a positive fashion, but they can find a role or they can find a niche on contending teams where that is their role, to come off the bench and score. So maybe the people, when I was saying that, look, I think the Bucks are doing the right thing with Jordan Wara. They're going to coach this guy up. They're going to see what he can become on both ends of the floor. Maybe all the listeners to the show that said, Kane, don't be ridiculous. He's just a scorer. Let him go out there and shoot. Play him short minutes. Maybe those people were right. Maybe those people were the ones that actually had it right with Jordan Wara. As Frank's back, he sits back. Hope it all went well in there, Frank. But Jordan Wara finished the night with 18 points, and he was 6 for 12. So it's a perfectly efficient scoring night for him. It was just that some of the shots, particularly during that third quarter stretch, when the Bucks were trying to come back, were probably ill-advised early shot clock stuff. But Frank, I was just saying, maybe my thoughts that Jordan Wara can do other things on the floor and we need to worry about the defense, worry about all these other things. Maybe he is just what he is. Maybe he's just the guy that's going to come off the bench, get up shots quickly, see if you can score you some efficient points in a hurry. Maybe that's his role in the NBA. Maybe there's nothing else to be achieved. He's still so young, but certainly in this team, maybe that's it. Maybe that's it for him.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It seems like he's most comfortable starting. We've seen that a number of times this year.
Okay, Frank, first of all, can we just
I got some Girl Scout cookies to make myself feel better.
Frank, I mean, this is worse execution than the Bucks in the fourth quarter right now with this podcast. You go into for toilet breaks mid thinger, you're eating Oreos or
well, that's because we got a coach that can't call a timeout or edit a video. Come on, don't blame me for that. You know,
I got shit to do, Frank.
I can't go 40 minutes, podcasting every night without a break once a year.
It's 4 p.m. on Friday night. You think I got other plans? I got other plans.
No, you don't. I think you already did your TV show today, didn't you? Did you already do your TV show today?
Yeah. I did, yes.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. It's just Jordan Wara just lives on this knife edge of like much needed scoring injection and like Bucks Nation wanting to like put him through a plate glass window, because as you said, I mean, he scored officially 2 nights ago, right? 2 games ago, same thing, 17 points on 14 shots, and it was just like, how do we get this guy, like put this guy in a Badger bus to Oshkosh at stat, so that's just the Jordan Wara experience right now, and it's just I mean, it's tough. I mean, obviously, look, like the Sixers were missing James Harden, so I'm not going to act like the Bucks missing. I'm not even going to talk about Brook Lopez because he hasn't been here all season, but missing George Hill and Pat Connaughton, and tonight Grayson Allen. I thought missing Grayson Allen was a big miss tonight. When I saw Jordan Wara, I didn't read any of the pregame stuff, so I didn't know the starting 5 was when I put on the game on DVR, and when I saw Jordan Wara with his warm up off, I was like, oh boy. This isn't a good sign, even just from a depth standpoint, not even just specifically Jordan Wara, but just as like, oh man, we got nobody coming off the bench tonight. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, there's absolutely I think a reasonably useful NBA player somewhere in Jordan Wara. We see it, it kind of fits and starts, but as you said tonight, just some record scratch shots. A couple of them actually went in, but a couple shots that again just ill-advised. I think one of them I saw a video that someone tweeted out with Giannis looking kind of pretty annoyed with one of the shots that he forced up. So unfortunately, that's just the Jordan Wara experience, and unfortunately we're kind of getting used to it after a year and a half of doing this now. And now Kane, you're going to be really mad because now my I need to get my charger out because my computer's almost out of batteries. So, but it's just a mess right now. This is almost as bad as when you were like dialing in from on a walkie-talkie the other day with your AirPods.
Nothing was worse than that. So thank you for deflecting back to my lowest point as a podcaster on Locked On Bucks. But something else I noticed tonight, and it's not really a talking point, Giannis chewing gum while he was playing today.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Was that like just in the second half? I noticed it in the second half, and I was like, Giannis doesn't really ever chew gum, does he? That was kind of random.
If I was in the post-game press conference, obviously that's going on right now as we're recording this, and the Bucks won, I mean, it's not a question you can probably get away with when they lose. But if they had won, it's definitely the type of thing I would have asked. What's the deal with the gum? Why did you go with that today? Why are you doing that in the fourth quarter? Is this something you're going to stick with? It might not be because they lost this game, but something that he would stick with, there's no doubt about that, is Built Bar. He can have a Built Bar mid-play. I'm not sure if I've seen anyone do that, but Frank's eating mid-podcast. So
much better than a Girl Scout cookie. This is
Well,
just comfort food right here. It's just sad on my part.
No, that's without doubt. That's exactly what I was about to say. Built Bar proven to be better than Girl Scout cookies. There's no doubt about that. And if you haven't tried the Puffs, you've been missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. That sounds pretty good in itself. Covered in 100% chocolate, and they're good for you. They're low calorie, high protein. Just replace all your candy bars, your Girl Scout cookies. Replace them all with Built Bar. Just go to built.com, scroll down the charts, the flavors, find out all the information you need to make your next order. Just go to built.com, use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Just talking about the choice that you have at built.com with all the different Built Bar flavors, one thing that came across my mind while watching this game is Mike Budenholzer also has some choices with lineups. Now, not so much with the little guys. I texted out DM, and again, we've been praising Lindell Wigginton. He's had some pretty good moments in recent games for the Bucks, playing in perhaps surprise minutes that we wouldn't have picked at the start of the season. He did nearly get spiked into oblivion by Paul Millsap tonight. But other than that, I guess the state of the Bucks guard rotation is probably amplified when you see Wigginton's in the closing lineup in this game tonight. But in the big man division, Bud at least has some choices, like you do at Built.com if you want to try Built Bar. You mentioned the big lineups. Now, I think probably part of it is, again, the fact that you don't have a bunch of guys that you would like to play, and it's just like, well, let's throw these guys out there. The lineup that we saw again tonight of Giannis, Serge Ibaka, and Bobby Portis. And by the way, I tweeted about this. I think that this is actually just a ploy for a potential matchup with the Cavs where they can go Brook Lopez, Giannis, and Serge Ibaka on the floor. Maybe it's a counter to that. Is this? Are we just going to erase this as soon as everyone comes back into lineup? Fingers crossed everyone comes back. Is that what you're assuming? Or you think that Bud actually has some designs in his head to run with these gigantic lineups?
I mean, we've seen him play Giannis at the 3 every once in a while. Like, I think, was it year 1 or year 2 when there was like some lineups where Ersan and Giannis were on the floor with Brook or something like that. So I don't know. I mean, I would say that this is, I'm kind of giving him the benefit of the doubt. This is mostly just a product of having a short bench, but yeah, kind of a strange look to be thrown out there. And kind of it's kind of weird being able to like see the Bucks play 2 legit big guys all the time. And again, I think you look at Bobby 28, Serge 24 minutes tonight, so 52 minutes, and then 39 from Giannis. I mean, they were not kind of short shifting Giannis here tonight. This was Bud. They obviously wanted to win this game, and it just didn't work out. But yeah, I mean, again, I think work to be done there. Serge, 5 points, 2 out of 8, 1 of 5 from 3. And did he have like 3 like open threes that he like pump faked and then put on the floor? But it's like, what are you doing when you're putting on the floor, Serge? Like you're not like the kind of guy who's like driving to the basket and like finishing around the rim or something like that. So I was kind of just like, Serge, like just shoot the 3. Like I'm not really here for these pump fakes and go type moves.
There was a couple that in previous games where I thought, why isn't he shooting more threes? Or why isn't he getting to the 3-point line more? And he did do it a little bit more tonight. But as you said, there was one in particular where I thought the lane opened right up and I thought he was about to throw down a jam, and then Joel Embiid just poked it away and it ended up being a turnover, which was a sad turn of events if you're a Bucks fan. One of the other notable things from tonight's game was Giannis picking up the cork man. Tony Brothers wanted to call a foul on Giannis, but they ended up reviewing it and it became a jump ball. But the slow-mo replay of Giannis literally just picking up another NBA athlete was pretty spectacular. So that was a notable moment. Is there anything else from this game, Frank, that you want to get off your chest?
No, I mean, unfortunately, we'll have the bad taste of a loss that shouldn't have been, or that, you really wouldn't you really don't want to lose a game like this to a team that you're battling for a spot in the standings. James Harden isn't playing yet, so again, this isn't even the full version of the Sixers. Obviously, Bucks missing their own pieces, so yeah, I mean, I think just a bad way to go into the break for the Bucks, and unfortunately, just not, again, I don't like to say like, oh, like the Bucks didn't want it or the Bucks like weren't trying. I mean, that's not really it. It's just, but there's something about this game. It just didn't really feel like the Bucks, played with the level of engagement that we've seen them at various points. And again, I think a lot of it's just when they're not hitting 3-pointers tonight, 31%, 14 out of 44. I mean, they've had worse 3-point shooting games. Sixers are 12 out of 34, 35%. So I mean, it didn't lose them the game, but it just feels like when the 3-point shot isn't falling, like just feels like their overall energy just sometimes like isn't quite there. So, yeah, I mean, just I think again, not the way you want to go into the All-Star break, and credit to Joel Embiid and the Sixers though. I mean, they knew what was at stake, and they came in and they just took one from the Bucks. They bounced back about as well as you could hope after obviously just getting their asses kicked in on Tuesday by the Celtics at home. And maybe for the Bucks, it would have been better off if the Sixers had not lost that game, because it seemed like they obviously felt like they had something to prove tonight.
22 games left in the regular season. The Bucks are currently 36-24. So not that it ultimately really matters. It's the seeding that actually matters. But to get to 50 wins, they're going to have to go 14-8, which, I mean, it's not out of the realms of
They have a really difficult schedule, by the way. Like, people should
Yeah.
look at their schedule post All-Star break. Like, yeah, they're if people are expecting them to have like a big, run in them post All-Star break, like take a look at the schedule. They've got, again, Brooklyn at home after the break. Okay, that's probably a game obviously you should win since KD's not going to be back. But Brooklyn, Charlotte, Miami at home. So those are home, but those are tough. At Chicago, home Phoenix, at Oklahoma City, home Hawks, and then at Warriors, at Jazz, at Kings, Wolves, then Bulls. So I mean, yeah, I mean the Bucks could lose further ground in the playoff seeding post All-Star break if they really don't start to get their act together.
All right, Frank, check out your boy Q and handicapping expert Lee Sterling on the Locked On Bets podcast. If you're interested after the Locked On Bucks, go check out the Locked On Bets podcast. One final note on this game, another funny note. There's not much else to talk about that's on the positive note, so I've just picked out the funny things that I saw from this game. James Harden wearing a mask on his beard all night long, stood up from the bench to talk to Tyrese Maxey after he made a made layup and took his mask off his beard to start talking, which, obviously, James, please get it together. I also like the fact that Philadelphia, both James Harden looks very happy right now, and the Brooklyn Nets, I was watching their game earlier, and the commentators, the announcers were really talking about how much the whole locker room is together and they love each other now. Yes, we'll see. We'll see with that matchup with the Bucks and the Nets after the All-Star break. Perhaps the big Aussie will be in the lineup for Brooklyn. Who knows? We'll see what happens. Anyway.
You're talking about, did Jock Landale also land in Brooklyn? That's who I think of when I think of Big Aussie.
I love Jock Landale, Bucks Summer League legend, of course, and all-around good bloke. But no, Ben Simmons, we'll see whether he's out there on the floor. I'm not sure. Is that the first game the Bucks have after the All-Star break?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not sure Ben Simmons wants to open up his Brooklyn account defending Giannis. We'll wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens there.
It'll be like a rebirth. So, the baby being reborn, his first game for his new team after the All-Star break, it would kind of make sense.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll be back early next week. Anyway, we'll be able to wrap up the All-Star game. Look, Giannis is playing in the All-Star game, and we know he generally takes these things relatively serious. So maybe he can be in the running for the MVP again. But we'll wrap it all up for you to start next week, and then we'll head into the back end of the regular season on the road to the playoffs. But we'll leave it there. For Frank and myself, catch you guys next week.